Hi, I'm Tina from Swallow Mosaics, and today I'm going to talk to you about cutting tiles. I have produced another video that shows you about the different types of tools that you can use, but right now I'm going to show you actually how to use this sort of wheeled nipper to cut tiles. Here you'll see I have got 6 tiles in total. That is actually 6. The 3 whole ones here. And then up here I've got, to begin with this side, I've got, if I push them together, you can see that they all started as one, and I cut one there and another cut there. So I've got 2 squares. This one here, I've cut them into little rods. And then over here, I've got a big triangle and 2 small ones. And I'm going to take you through the process of each of those. First things first, I'm going to move my drink out of the way. This is actually a surprisingly important point. We often sit and create when we've got a drink with us. Just imagine if I'm cutting glass. One of the problems with glass is it goes ping, ping, ping all over the place, and you can just imagine it going ping into your drink. Crunchy drinks are not good for you. So either you cover it up completely so that it cannot get anything in it, or even better, you move it away. I almost always have coffee with me, so it's a bit torturous for me to move it. I have actually invested in a cup that's got a lid on it, which is a much safer way to do it. The second safety point that's actually really useful is to have some kind of a container. This is an old food container that you can use to cut into, so that you can keep all the little bits that ping off, and you can make sure that it's all nice and safe. So let's start first of all with learning how to cut a tile in half. I'm going to pick up my tile, and when I hold my nippers, let me move this out of the way first of all. I'm going to show you the best way to hold them. When you look at the nippers, you can see that they curve inwards at the ends. This is where I want my hand for the most part. If you can't reach that far, squeeze them together with your other hand, and then place your dominant hand over that curved bit, and you can easily then pull them together. The action is a squeeze, and if you look at your nippers and see that the wheels do not meet, that is correct. What they will do is create pressure on a tiny piece, a tiny area on the tile, and that will cause a crack which will travel far too quickly for us to be able to notice, like a window cracking. It's that same thing, and as it travels, that's what causes the tile to break into 2. Now to do this, what I want to do is I want to place my nippers exactly in the middle between the 2 sides. So I'm just going to move the nippers around so that you can see in a variety of positions how it looks. Now I'm right-handed. If I were left-handed, it would look exactly the same, just the other way in. The wheels always point towards your other hand. This is a point I should have mentioned. And I can actually hold the tile without it dropping. I don't need to squeeze it to hold it. Just make sure that when you are ready, you've got everything vertical, the wheels are vertical, and the tile is horizontal. Now, if I just squeeze, I'm going to have bits of glass flying all around the room. If it's just you at home and you've got a lino floor, that's probably okay, just sweep up afterwards. But from safety, that's really not very good. Now you'll see people hiding it all in your hand, and that's safer in a way, but I have come across some very nasty injuries because, again, the glass, although it doesn't ping across the room, it can ping into your hand and cause a lot of injuries. The way I always teach people is to use your middle finger and your thumb on the outside, and then your first finger goes over the top for the other one. If I let go for the moment, that's how I'm holding it. And you will see how I can still hold the tile pieces together after I've cut. So I'm going to put the nippers back in the middle, There we go. I'm holding the tile securely and I'm going to squeeze. There we go. I'm still holding both pieces. They've slipped a bit, but that's okay because I'm still holding them and they didn't ping across the room. All right, so if I put them down, you can now see that I've got, well, I could call them two halves. They're not quite equal, but that doesn't really matter. This is a hand process. If you wanted something that's absolutely identical all the way through, you'd need something that's been machine made. But Mosaic isn't that kind of a thing. It is very natural to have pieces that are not quite even. Now, so I've got my first rectangle. If I want to turn that into two squares, I simply repeat the process of cutting, but this time I'm going to go acrossways. So I'm going to pick up my tile and I'm going to pop it so that the nippers are in the middle. Finger and thumb on one side. I'm trying to tip this so you can see. Ah, there we go. Other finger on the other side. I'm going to squeeze. Now I think that piece might fall, but it hasn't gone pinging across the room. So let it fall. And there we go. We've now got two little squares. I'll put these here. Not quite sure which way around they go, but they were from there. Next one I'm going to show you is how to get the long, thin pieces. Just the same way as the first one, I'm going to cut this piece in half. So it's in the middle, thumb and finger over the top, squeeze, and there I have. I've got my two rectangles. There we go. So I can leave that one there because that's going to stay there. This one now, if I'm going to cut this into two pieces, I do exactly the same process in the same direction. So this time it's going to go lengthways, again down the middle. It's quite hard to tell with such thin pieces, but as I said, it doesn't matter if it's not absolutely accurate and exactly the same. It all gives the nice texture that you'll see in the handmade result. I can still hold both sides. If it's getting a bit narrow for you, it is okay to just use thumb and finger. What it does is it just makes sure that the pieces don't fly around. That's what you're going for. Squeeze. And there we go. We've got our two thin pieces. Now we're wanting to turn our square into a triangle. It is the same process as before. It's simply the orientation that we're cutting. So instead of going straight up and down, we're going to turn the tile to the corner and we're going to cut from corner to corner. So when we put the tile into the nippers, we simply make sure that the tile, I should have thought of this before, shouldn't I? Look at that. Does that make it easier to see? You're going to have to give me some feedback how good this is. So I've got it on the diagonal and I'm going to hold one corner, finger all the way around the other side to hold it in place, squeeze just like before, but because I'm holding it on the diagonal, there are my two triangles. To get a small pair of triangles, exactly the same process, I take one of my big triangles and I cut across it. So in the middle, I'm holding one corner, I'm going to put my finger on the other. There we go. Couldn't quite hold that coming off, but it did stop it pinging. There's one quarter, I was going to say. It is a quarter, but I'm thinking of it as a triangle. Let me put it down with this triangle here. There we go. Alright, so that is a really nice way to think about how you cut your tiles. There are more techniques that I can show you in another video, and I do hope you will come back and watch that with me. Bye!